little different, but early afternoon for us. So glad you're here. It is a typical looking Montana day outside, a little bit of cloudiness, some snow on the ground. We're excited about that because we haven't had enough of our usual. And we are happy to share with you some information about our internship. If you didn't guess yet, because my name is on that little black square with my picture, I'm Colleen Kaiser, and I'm director of the Montana Dietetic Internship Program.
I'm Anna Diffenderfer, and I am one of the 2 assistant directors, and I lead the Sustainable Food Systems concentration area.
And I'm Kellen Sarnoff. I'm the other assistant director, and I'm also the coordinator for our master's program.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy, and I am the administrative coordinator for MDI.
All right, more about our program to share with you. We are excited. This year is a cohort, our first cohort in place of the master's DI track. And so then the next cohort will be the second cohort coming up that we're selecting. We have 2 tracks in the Montana Dietetic Internship Program, the MSDI and then the DI only track. And we continue strong in our sustainable food systems concentration area, and dietetic systems leadership matches that quite well. So some preface to the MDI program that's important that really is part of our aims, our pillars of the program and who we are. We're looking to produce emerging professionals that perhaps look at the problems that we face in healthcare, in communities, community health, food systems, in all the ways that foods connect us and connect to our bodies to health in different ways. We aim to have you be leaders in the area of food and nutrition and look for solutions in the out of the norm type of approach, looking in the systems approach, being different than looking for specifics and ideal diets or ideal conditions and that, looking at the whole and looking at a systems approach to that. We aim for you to be confident learners that enter into our program, become more confident as you continue expanding your abilities and your knowledge, and move out as confident professionals, progressive and good critical thinkers. So that emerging professionals that have those attributes and those traits, that's what we hope to cultivate in our program for you.
Okay, as Colleen mentioned, we do have our 2 tracks. So we have our MSDI track, which is new, and our first cohort started in the summer. And then we also have our non-degree DI track as well. And I'll just first go through some of the basic differences between those tracks. So as Colleen mentioned, our emphasis for the master's program is dietetic systems leadership. And the MSDI is a 2-year program. So you would start coursework in May of 2021. In your first year would be online coursework. And then the second year you would do the 30 weeks of supervised practice. For our MSDI track, we have 26 slots available. And then with our non-degree graduate DI, the emphasis is sustainable food systems. And that one includes 36 weeks of supervised practice. And for the DI only, we have 8 slots available. And with both of those, you would be assigned to a geographic area in Montana or Wyoming, and we'll go through that process a little bit later. With the MSDI, the supervised practice is the same as if you were doing the standalone DI program. So first we'll go through just the logistics of the MSDI, and then we'll go through the supervised practice logistics. So for the MSDI, like I mentioned, the coursework starts in May. So our summer semester starts May 10th of 2021. And you'll have online coursework for the first 4 semesters. So that's a summer, a fall, a spring, and then a summer session. And our program is unique in the sense that it's all online for that first year. So you can remain in your home community or wherever you prefer. And most of our students have found that it's possible to continue working. Most of our students are working part-time, and some of them are working full-time and still balancing the coursework. The coursework is mainly asynchronous, but there are, some of the classes do have 1 or 2 hours of scheduled class time per week. Typically in the evening because we do have working professionals in our program. And then because it is an online program, you do have to have reliable access to the internet throughout the program. And then as I mentioned, that second year, you would do your supervised practice and you would come to Bozeman for the orientation and professional development and then travel to your placement location. And we'll go through those logistics. With our curriculum for the master's program, it is cohort based, and you will move with your cohort and take all of the classes in sequential order. And then you would go into the supervised practice together as a cohort. Our curriculum includes 39 graduate level credits. And with that, we estimate that it's about 20 to 30 hours of coursework and assignments per week. I do want to point out that it is not self-paced. We do a lot of collaborative group projects, discussion boards, and even in our research methods class, you do like a real research project. Even though you're all in different locations, you complete a research project for an organization. So there's a lot of deeper connection and discussion, and you really truly are connecting with each other as a cohort through the coursework as well. I also want to point out that we are a professional coursework only master's degree, which means that we do not have a thesis or a capstone. We have a lot of coursework in the master's program, so the rigor is really in that coursework and then in the supervised practice as well. So you do get credits, graduate level credits for the supervised practice hours as well. Our courses were posted on the previous slide. They're also on the website, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about our curriculum. And so we have really designed, when we talk about dietetic systems leadership, we're really trying to approach nutrition and dietetics from all different angles. So our coursework is unique in the sense that you get exposed to a lot of different areas of dietetics. We have a strong research component with the class in research methods, and then also an evidence research-based class on current issues in obesity, and then a health informatics class. And the classes that are in bold there, those are classes that are taken with other departments. And so the health informatics class is with graduate level nursing students. We have a couple policy related classes. So family law and policy is another one that's taken with other students. So those are mostly students in the family and consumer sciences program. And then state of the environment is a class that's with our sustainable foods degree. And so you'll be taking that with graduate students in sustainable food systems. We also have 2 clinical courses, so advanced diet and disease and then advanced M&T. And then 2 food systems related courses, so advanced food service management, and then a fun course in food innovation and entrepreneurship.
Okay, so then if you are the master's track, master's DI, after that last summer course in the innovation and entrepreneurship of food, you are then beginning supervised practice in August of that same summer, so the second summer. If you are the supervised practice DI only, you then move into supervised practice in that August time period as well. You can see here the supervised practice schedule overview. When we start in August, we start with 3 weeks of professional development, some of those foundation work in sustainable foods and in being ready for supervised practice. So that's what those 3 weeks are concentrated in. Moving on to sustainable foods, and I'll let Anna take it from there.
Yeah, so a little bit more about how we blend those 2 weeks together. As you saw that it does say professional development and supervise or sustainable food systems foundation. So we blend those 2 weeks. So one day we might have some didactic learning or some workshop or a clinically focused day in the classroom. And then the next day we are on a farm taking a tour. And so we try and mix it up so that it's really enriching. And we focus a lot on building support and that support network among the cohort. So you will have, if you're in the MSDI, you will have had a year online with these other individuals, but not maybe met in person yet. And then in the DI only portion, we have people come from all over the country and have never met. And so we spend a lot of time building that network, the friendships, the team, that community mindset, so that you are making really lifelong friends with the individuals that you're going through this adventure with. So an example of that, the first couple of weeks in the professional development focus, the top left picture there is truly us having a team building day. We spend a whole day doing team building, and in this particular case, we happen to be up at one of our reservoirs that's out in the mountains with no cell service, and we just spend a day having fun. The top right picture there was also a couple of years ago from Team Building Day, a different kind of adventure. And then we also take tours, pandemic permitting, of course. This particular year, it was also a couple of years ago, we went up to Helena to Blue Cross Blue Shield of Montana to learn about the insurance system and how that impacts our profession, and how important it is for you all to understand the ins and outs of how to bill for your services and how to become a practitioner in their system that's able to bill. And we also do skill development workshops. So on the bottom right there, we spend a whole day with a videographer, and we go through a video production workshop and get you all up to speed on the ins and outs of developing educational videos for different types of media. And so some of those short educational videos that sometimes you wonder, why are we doing this? But then when you get out into your rotations or out into your practice, it really comes full circle and you see how it truly applies. So it's a really fun time. And then the Sustainable Food Systems Foundation piece of that, again, with individuals coming from all over the country, all different levels of experience and knowledge and interest and backgrounds related to sustainable food systems, from none to that's primarily been the focus of your studies up to this point. We work together to help each other really build that common foundation. And so we spend a lot of time talking about the different concepts. What is a sustainable food system? What are the different components and how they interrelate? And as you can see, during this time, we do still have that large group still together, all is in the same cohort. And so during this time, we take tours. So we go explore our food system. But Montana is really progressive, but particularly our local area here in the Gallatin Valley and some other areas around the state are really progressive, and we have some really interesting, cool things going on. And so we have lots of community partners that we're able to sort of play with and learn from and tour and get fun experiences with. So the left picture there is over in the Paradise Valley. Yes, we have a Paradise Valley. And it's on a grass-fed cattle ranch and kind of a small producer to consumer operation. So we learn all about their different operations. They use some unique sustainability practices that are interesting to learn about. And we also know that waste is part of the entire food system. And so we go to, this particular picture is at one of our big recycling facilities. And so it's really eye-opening to learn about what we can recycle, why we can't recycle certain things, how to divert waste out of landfills and all of that sort of network. And so we spent an afternoon doing that. And this year we actually went to a composting facility too. So we learned a little bit different method of waste diversion too. So then we break the larger group down into smaller cohorts so that we can really dig in and start applying some of these concepts. And so during this time, there's a couple of different components. This actually is considered a 3-credit course in 2 weeks. So it is intense and there's a lot of rigor to it, but it's also really fun. And it's the time that often interns say was their favorite part, because we actually get out on our student farm, which is a 3-acre diversified student-run certified organic vegetable production facility. And you can see the middle picture and the last picture are this year. We picked, I don't know how many pounds of potatoes out of the ground, following the tractor there. And then the interns on the right this year, you can see the masks. We picked all the leeks out of the field, pulled all the onions. So a lot of the fall harvest is what we get to participate in. And we also work at our campus, this year it's back at the farm, our farm stand and our CSA program, Community Supported Agriculture Program. And so the interns get exposure to all of that, get to talk with the members, get to educate the members and the public on using and enjoying and embracing beautiful produce that was grown right on campus. We do spend time in the kitchen as well. And so kind of partnered with some didactic learning. There is a research component. So all the interns choose a topic that I always say, something that lights your fire, something that really either makes you really angry or that you're curious to learn more about, or that you're really passionate about already. So you dig really deep, you develop a position on that topic, and then you teach the rest of us about it. So we have topics all the way from bees to composting to aquaculture, kind of the whole spectrum. One of our interns this year was really passionate about oyster farming. So we all learned a whole lot about oysters. They're actually really interesting little creatures. So sky's the limit there. Whatever lights your fire is fair game. And so whoever's not presenting that day actually does cooks lunch for the rest of us. So we eat a lot of good food. We play with a lot of the food from the farm. So if you've never had a beet, or if you've never had kohlrabi or things like that, we get to bring it back to the kitchen and try out different recipes. And we also, another component then is a community project that we do. And so that looks different every year, and it looks different between the groups. So the third picture there, we have a biannual farm to school conference, statewide conference, and the interns got to help organize and work and attend and network at that event. And so we were an integral part of pulling that conference off. Sometimes there's a health fair that we participate in. Other times we're doing a food preservation workshop in partnership with our county extension for members of the community. Lots of variety, lots of different things that we do during that time. But the idea is that you're applying your skills in sustainability with a community partner, and so it's mutually beneficial. You're further developing your skills, and they're benefiting from the output, whatever it is that it might be. So another piece of this that we started 4 years ago is our culinary medicine program. And we just finished our 4th year, and it has evolved and developed into different modes and methods of delivery over the last 4 years, but the 4 tenets behind it have stayed the same. So we're really looking at this innovative and experiential learning because it's fun people love this concept. And if you think of Bloom's taxonomy, it's one thing to hear something in the classroom, but it's another thing to actually apply it and deliver it in this innovative and experiential way. Culinary skills. So we are looking at developing your culinary skills. That's Chef Marcy in the picture there, and she is a dietitian in our hospitality management program, and she's one of our team partners for the culinary medicine program. And so your culinary skills, but also those of the other students who participate with us, which leads me to the interprofessional education focus. So we are working with our medical students and our nursing students in this class. So all medical students, which are 31st year students and 32nd year students, are required to take what has become this culinary medicine course on campus. And this year we had, I think, 65 nursing students participating as well. So with our 25 interns. So we really do focus on learning from, with, and about each other, which is the tenet of interprofessional education. And you can see this year, I talked about the different modes of delivery. We moved the whole program online. And so we delivered it via Zoom this particular year, and next year we don't know. We'll see where we're at with things. The silver lining there was that we were able to broaden our reach. So we had nursing students from all over the state participating with us, which was nice. And also, traditionally in medical and nursing school, the students don't receive a whole lot of nutrition education, if any at all. And so our interns deliver a little bit of nutrition education for those other students as well. And so those are sort of the four components of our culinary medicine program, and it's been super successful. There's always way more demand for it than we have capacity to deliver. And so, we're always looking for ways to make it sustainable and have it be, have the broadest reach that we can. So that is kind of the broad scope overview of how our concentration area plays out in the beginning of the internship. And when you get out into other rotations around the state, sometimes it is the focus of what you'll be doing. We do have farm to school rotations, for example. We also have some nonprofits that's the premise of what they do. But there's going to be other times too where it's not necessarily the focus of what you're doing. And so particularly when you're in the middle of your clinical rotations, it's always that lens that you're going to be looking through. That's really important to us, that you develop this really critical thinking, systems thinking perspective that becomes this lens that you carry into your practice. And so in everything that you're doing, even if you're talking to a patient in a hospital bed, this lens can still kind of come through and be part of your care. So that is essentially sustainable food systems for us.
Okay, so I hope you can see from everything that's been shared with you about the curriculum of the master's program on into getting started with supervised practice and those foundation weeks, and then the applied piece of sustainable foods, those pillars that we were talking about. Definitely systems thinking, broader thinking, exposure to what nutrition and health and the impact on individuals and communities is, and that we are producing those confident learners. So all of those intense weeks have that basis, and to move you into supervised practice where you're going to apply even more. So the logistics of that in our programs. You can see the first 5 weeks, how it turns out. And actually those 2 weeks with Anna in applied supervised practice, you are in smaller groups. So there is kind of a shifting and ranking of how you move into your geographic area, depending on which cohort you're with for supervised practice, the first, second, or third. Our supervised practice regions, you can see here on the slides. Within Montana, we have 2 individuals that are assigned to Kalispell, 2 to Great Falls. Either 6 to 8 in the Billings area. Helena has 2, Missoula has 5, Butte has 2, and 2 in Sheridan and 2 in Gillette, both in Wyoming. So the majority of your supervised practice, those clinical, community, food service management, happen in that region. You will, if you are in a 1st or 2nd tier cohort for the sustainable foods, you would still be in the Bozeman, Livingston area and doing some rotations waiting for your turn with sustainable foods. But once that's done, your majority is kept in that region. Everyone spends 2 weeks in a smaller critical access hospital. 95% of the hospitals in Montana are those small community hospitals. That's part of that rural makeup that we really are showing in our program too, is what does that dietitian do in those community settings with that small hospital? Lots of things is actually what that dietitian does. They wear all the hats typically. So that might be another time where you would spend 2 weeks in a slightly different, it could be close to your major geographic, or it might be slightly a few miles away. In terms of Montana, we usually talk about hours of drive or minutes of drive rather than miles because we are such a big state. But it's still somewhat regional to where you are. And sometimes in some of those locations, we have student housing if we can get in, but we're sharing it with PT and medical students and pharmacy students and nursing students. So it kind of depends. And that's not for all of those small communities, but that is a perk in some of them. Okay, let's see our next slide. So I'm just going to kind of go over more or less those different weeks that make up then supervised practice. You have 13 to 15 weeks in clinical, as you can see, and the 2 weeks that I was talking about in the rural hospital. The clinical will be in that comprehensive hospital, and that's why we have those different regions where you're at. Those are where in our state and in Wyoming, that's close to our Montana border, we have larger comprehensive care facilities. So we want you to spend the majority of your clinical weeks there and cover all of the areas that give you a sound basis in clinical practice. The next rotations, community makes up 6 to 7 weeks of all of the weeks that are in supervised practice. And it's a mix. So another thing I might explain here is you are in different communities. You're never in one community completely by yourself. There's always, as you heard, 2 of you in one location. You are all going to comparable experiences, but you're not obviously going to the same facility or the same experience. Comparable. So everyone spends 2 weeks in WIC, but it could be WIC at the state level. It could be WIC in Gallatin Valley. It could be WIC in Livingston and Cascade County. So it depends on your geographic location of the WIC, for example. Early childhood development, team nutrition, MSU extension. These are all comparable, and so some of you will be with some of those programs and some of you will be with a different program for these weeks. Same with food access programs. So Livingston Food Resource is one that comes to mind. That's a very dynamic program in Livingston that is originated from a pantry concept. It's got even absolutely great programming that they're doing there beyond the pantry concept. And then nonprofits and community development programs that we have rotations. Again, comparable, but not all the same. Then we're going to move into food service management. You will have 6 to 7 weeks. Everyone spends 2 weeks in a K through 12 food service. Everyone spends at least 2 or 3 weeks in a hospital food service. In the universities, we have university here at Montana State University and University of Montana rotations. So again, not everyone has that, but you will end up with comparable. I love all these pictures. You guys don't know all these people, but I do. So I see these pictures, I get so excited because I'm like, I remember these people. I like these people. So it's kind of fun, especially with Anna. I was getting reminiscent when you were going through all the pictures. Self-selected. So this is your time to put one final stamp on your internship. So it comes towards the end of your internships. It's 2 weeks that you arrange, you set up. Sky's the limit. It doesn't have to be in Montana, but this is where you can hone in on specific skills, or a place where you want to work maybe, and you want to show them a little bit more about yourself and how you fit their team. Or you just want to know a new area that you didn't really touch as much in the generalized supervised practice training that's provided. So you want to specialize and look at how that would be if you were interested in adding additional expertise in a certain area. So that's what the 2 weeks is about. Yes, so this is pictures to tell us, and as you can see through the masks, this is this year, and we're doing it. Okay, last year, as we all have experienced, the chaos of that started in March, and we were out of all of our locations, and we scrambled for content. We put it together, and I have to tell you, that class did amazing. They made it through the program to the end, and I've got, let's see, my latest listing. I think we have only 4 of 26 who haven't tested yet for the exam, and they're still on it. They're just taking their time to get there. We have RDs that came out of the program last year. I'm very proud. This year, it's going even better. Maybe because all of us, we've figured out some of how we maneuver in this environment of masks. I was going to say, we got really good at the mask thing, right? So it's so nice not to have to wear it maybe in the office. We're doing it. So we did tours. There's the D&D greenhouse over in the Paradise Valley, the farm stand, and we delivered culinary medicine. So I'm proud of the MDI team, and I'm proud of this cohort. They did it, and they're doing it. And we're still in the hospitals. We're still in our locations. They're modified. Sometimes it's a remote, but it's still real work that happens for that facility, that location, that preceptor. You're still working. We've had the opportunity to do telehealth that we never had before. And so we have interns on with dietitians delivering nutrition education in a telehealth context. We've got different times, smaller hospitals have been a little more protective, and rightfully so. Those hospitals have 23 beds or less, and they're vital to that community. So some of those communities have done remotes with the preceptor. Again, you're still visiting with real patients or in projects that have impact, but they're protecting those beds in their population so that they can keep their hospital open. I think overall, the learning has only expanded and given individuals the opportunity to learn how to function in a pandemic, as we all are, but at this different level of being able to do it. And there's things that are happening now, and I think this is true in education. I think this is true in all areas of our world, that are going to stay. Some of the modifications we made are going to stay. And so we're ready. And the program is expanding with that and able to incorporate that. So I think that, again, like Anna said, silver lining, I think that's our silver lining. We're going to see more telehealth. We're going to see more reach to rural areas. We're going to see people looking at the food system. We're going to see people cooking again. I think some of this is going to stay. And as being a dietitian who has a broader scope of how health and food interrelate and make us strong, I think I'm proud of our team for really making that happen, and it makes a difference. We hope, like I said, we hope we are producing professionals that have a different mindset and are looking to solve problems from a bigger systems approach. Well, I see my prompt on the slide too. I went on. Nutrition 598 is the class that we do meet virtually, and we were doing virtual meetings with that class before pandemic. We've been doing that for years because you're not all in the same location with us. The class is going well. We've added a new telehealth counseling assignment. This is another one of those silver linings. This is giving opportunity where we have interprofessional education with our graduate counseling students, and we're trying to give the interns as emerging professionals better skill set in the counseling arena. It is typically the one we don't get a lot in DPD work, and so we're seeing this partnership is great. And I anticipate this new assignment will stay, and it's great to have that interaction with the other graduate students in a different discipline, and being part of a team again in delivering information in effective ways. We have our preceptors who ask for more training and counseling, for their professional development. So we think it's a bonus that we're trying to give you a lift there and already put you ahead of the curve. We have a treasure chest, so we're holding on. We've made it to the half point. Our interns are done for this 2020 year on Friday and coming back January 4th. We've only had to go to the treasure chest a few times for a few individuals if things weren't working as smoothly or a hospital got closed down. Those small hospitals and interns were out, for example. But we do have a treasure chest that we made and developed from last year. So we have some rich material there. And as I said, definitely on mark with what you need. So that's kind of how we're taking on the COVID changes, and we're looking at it as hard as it is sometimes. There's a lot of good positive out of this that's going to strengthen our career path. So that's that. So I think this goes back to you, Kellen.
Yeah, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the application process. So we do have a pre-select category, and that's for our MSU graduates. And I bring that up just because some of our slots might be filled by the MSU graduates, the pre-select. So for example, the DI only track, we have fewer slots. We only have 8 slots available for that track. And we will update the website to let you know how many remaining tracks are available after the pre-select process. And then we also have our national select category. I'm assuming that most of you are in that pool. And so we do use the DICA's application with the deadline of February 15th. And you do also need to complete the D&D match. We do interview candidates, and so you'll be informed of that process, and we'll be able to rank for your D&D match. We notify you, follow the national guidelines, so we do notify you on April 5th if you're accepted, matched into the program. And something that's unique about our program is we do require a $1,000 deposit to secure your spot in the program. As far as the application goes, in order to apply for our program, you do need to have proof of a bachelor's degree or completed your post-bac didactic coursework from an accredited college or university. You'll also need your verification statement or your declaration of intent if you're not quite done with coursework from an accredited program. We like to see 3 references from dietetic professionals, faculty, or employers. And it is helpful to see the references from a variety of different professionals so we can get to know you from different angles. As far as the GRE goes, if you had looked at our website, last year, you would see that we did require the GRE for the MSDI. However, for this cycle, we are not requiring the GRE just because of testing logistics and the stress with COVID and everything like that. So you do not need the GRE for either of our programs. And then we do have a recommended component with volunteer or work experience. So we have preferred 100 hours of volunteer work experience in food, nutrition, and or dietetics. It's not required, but it will strengthen your application. As far as our review process goes with the applications, we actually do read every single application that comes through. We spend a lot of time in our review process, and there's not a single metric that would ever kick you out of the application process. So we don't go through and look at GPAs and kick people out. We truly look at every single application as a whole and really want to get to know who you are and every component of the application. So Anna, Colleen, and I all review every single application that comes through. And then we also have a committee that's composed of faculty as well as our preceptors, so dietitians in the Montana. And each application is reviewed by several individuals and scored. So we score based on scholastic achievement, your work and volunteer experience, your professional references, your leadership abilities or experiences, as well as overall program fit. So program fit is really important to us. So we really want individuals that are interested in MDI and that we know that will succeed in our program. And then Colleen will talk about this a little bit more. Your personal statement is 40% of your application score. Just a couple of notes for the MSDI. Our MSU graduate school does require a 3.0 GPA for undergrad coursework or your post-baccalaureate coursework. But we will still look at your application if you have lower than a 3.0 GPA. If that's your situation, I would recommend just reaching out to us a little bit earlier so we can just look at it. Our graduate school does allow us to provisionally accept students if we have a good plan. So for example, maybe you had a rough start to your undergrad and had some lower courses, and then maybe you retook them, but your GPA is still a little bit lower. We are happy to look at your application still. And then if say you already took the GRE or some of the other programs that you're applying to do require the GRE, you're welcome to submit your GRE scores to strengthen your application. So for example, maybe you did have a lower GPA, but you took the GRE and you scored pretty well. If you want us to look at that, you can send it over to MSU and our campus code is listed. We recommend the 40th percentile in at least one of the categories to show your scholastic achievement.
So like Kellen noted, the personal state is a big piece, 40%. Why is it a big piece? This is how we can know about you and the fit. So we're looking for fit. We're looking for best fit for you. Is MDI the right choice for you? That's very important. And then are you the right choice for us? So the best way to determine that is to know more about you. So that's what the questions here are aimed at, is trying to understand better the different areas that you're interested in and your experiences and how it could be a good partnership. So I'm not going to go through necessarily each question. It is listed on our website and it is also in the DICUS. If you are working there, it's listed. But that's what to keep in mind, is let us know about you. Don't give us the standard statements. Don't give us, because it's interesting, we do see coaching and we see standard statements and we see the same statement come from individuals across the spectrum. Tell us more really about you. Be authentic. Tell us about you, because that's how we find, like I said, that partnership and good fit. And that's the importance. So we do look at that, and it is scored highly, and it does influence us to, to move to that second step. We do interviews, and that comes after the whole system of scoring with our committee members and the MDI team's appreciation of your application as well. And from that, we select for interviews. And our interviews are meant to give you more information and to learn more from you as well. So again, it's like a conversation. We do want to know how this is going to work out and if it's a good, as I said, good fit. Okay. Oh, maybe I should ask this one more note. Sorry, Tracy, I just didn't do that bottom note. When you are giving us your application and in the personal statement at the end, indicate which geographic location, and you can give us your first and second preferences. If you don't have a geographic location, that's great too. It definitely helps in filling in. If you have family in one area, if you know friends in somewhere that it helps you, as far as like housing, for example, we definitely want to know about that and try to be supportive of that. Over 10 years, I've always at least matched the first or the second. We haven't not hit that. Doesn't mean it might happen that way, but that is, again, because we have some who it's okay. They just want to be in a program and they don't necessarily have a region, geographic region in mind. So that helps too. So let us know that, or let us know your first and second choices. Okay, thanks, Tracy. Sorry.
Okay, so as far as the program cost goes, so these are estimated based on the current year's tuition rates. So rates are reassessed in May of each year and subject to change, but it doesn't frequently change by that much. So we have an MDI application fee, and that's $55. That is separate than the DICA's application fee. And then our program enrollment fee is specific to the supervised practice. And then for the MSDI, here you'll see the 39 graduate credits listed, tuition and fees there. One thing that I want to point out is that we have a very special online tuition rate for both of our programs. So you'll see that the difference between the resident and non-resident is actually pretty minimal compared to other universities. So it's that special online tuition rate. And so when you look at the combined total for the MSDI, so that's all of the master's coursework as well as the supervised practice, it's actually very affordable. So that's compared to other universities. In order to get both of them done, we think it's very competitive and a great deal. If you do the DI separately and then later decide to get your master's, you'll be looking at, of course, a longer commitment. So probably, the 9 months for the supervised practice and then at least 14 months to 2 years for the master's, and you would pay substantially more. So that's just one thing to consider if you're trying to decide between an MSDI or a DI only. And then this is our tuition for the DI only. So again, you'll see the application fee as well as our program fee. So that's for the supervised practice. And then as we mentioned, you will be enrolled in credits, even if you're doing the DI only. So you'll have 12 graduate credits. And so that's the tuition associated with that. And then again, you'll see a slight difference between the resident and non-resident. So if you do the DI only, you do get graduate credits. So if you decided to come back and do a master's later, some of those credits might apply depending on the program that you decide to do. Colleen, this is you.
I did that thing about being muted. So we do have financial aid that we've cultivated over the years, and we feel fortunate to have some very good supporters of our program. So we have scholarships that are specific to the individual that's in the DI only. So only that cohort can apply for these scholarships. As you can see, we had last year, we had 17,600, 16 recipients were recipients, or 16 individuals were recipients of those awards. We do have, as Kellen noted, the MS has a fellowship as well, and last year had a fellowship, and this year again we have 2 fellowships available there for awards. And you are eligible for the Academy scholarships and other scholarships. And almost consistently every year we'd seem to have one fellowship award or scholarship award coming from the Academy's groups and DPGs and other organizations. But we have recipients of national awards, so that's pretty noteworthy. And both tracks are eligible for financial aid. If you are eligible for federal financial aid, so are these programs. And you can contact our MSU Financial Aid Office for more information about that piece.
So as Colleen mentioned, we do have 2 fellowship awards. So these have not been posted on the website yet, just because we just recently learned that we will have these opportunities again for this upcoming cohort. So the Professional Master's Fellowship Program is through our graduate school. And so we have 2 awards available this year to the upcoming MSDI cohort. So it is only for those of you who are applying for the MSDI program. And the award includes a 6-credit tuition waiver. So it's 6-credit tuition waiver regardless of if you're out of state, then it would just be waived at that out of state cost. We will give preference to individuals with diverse backgrounds, and a link to the application will be posted on our website shortly. And so this is separate than the DICUS application. It's a separate link, and we'll have the same due date of February 15th. And it's just a short essay, so 750 words or less. You would answer the following: how has having a diverse background impacted your life? How will you work to increase diversity in dietetics? And then why are you pursuing the MS degree at MSU? You can give us a couple of days, but we'll update the link on the website, and you can always email me if you have any questions on the fellowship program.
Okay. With that, we are open to questions. I was looking here in our chat box, there are some questions. And let's see, trying to expand on this, where we're at. Tracy, did you want to read questions? How did we do this last time? What's best here?
Yes, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy to read the ones in the chat box, and then
Okay.
maybe if anyone has other ones, feel free to speak up as well. I have another question from Claire, and she's asking, do you want region preference to be included in the personal statement or as a supplemental document in DICUS?
It'd be fine to put as a final piece in the personal statement. If you feel that it's taking away words in that 500 limit, yes, you could put it up in a supplement too, but it's pretty easy to insert. You can just put regions 1, 2.
I would say most people, you don't have to like make a whole elaborate statement about it. People just put 1 and then their location, and then 2 and then their location. It doesn't have to be like a formal sentence about it.
If there is for some reason that you want me to know why that region, then definitely you could identify that if there is a particular region.
Okay, great. And then we have a question from Avery. And they are asking, do students or interns have an opportunity to attend FNCE?
So it's not necessarily part of our program. However, for example, there has been years where students, this year was one in particular because FNCE was virtual, that there was one of our interns that did attend with her preceptors. Typically, FNCE's far distance-wise from us, so it has not been, if the preceptor is going and they want you to have that opportunity, that sometimes has been extended.
Okay, so we have a question from Hannah, and this was kind of already answered, but we can maybe review it again. So are there any assistantship opportunities available for students during the classwork portion? And she did ask this prior to us going over that fellowship opportunity.
Kellen, you want to answer?
Yeah, so the fellowship is really designed to be in place of the assistantship. So, assistantships are typically like a TA position or a research assistant, but because we're the professional masters, the fellowship was specifically created for professional master's programs through our grad school. So that's what we offer.
So I have a question from Audrey, and she would like to know, in your opinions, what is the atmosphere or relationship like between preceptors and interns?
If I'm thinking maybe what you're trying to get at with that question, typically, well, a couple of things. One, we try to get you prepared to be in those relationships. So we do look at personality testing, we look at generational aspects of communications. So if that's part of that, maybe what you're trying to look at with those relationships, we have anymore, you would be the 11th cohort that we're selecting here. We have quite a few of our past grads that are our preceptors in our program. And I find that to be a strength because they understand the logistics of what you're trying to do and maybe the variety of places you're all coming from. And they're a great help in understanding and also mentoring and supporting you in the process. Of course, there's going to be times where someone's communication style is different than your communication style. And maybe there's concerns that get raised. We deal with it. We are supporting you in the process. We are supporting our preceptors because they care about you. Overall, this program, I've started with the program when it began, and that's a big piece. Those preceptors really did want, they are why we have a program in our state. They did want you. They want you to come into their facilities. They want to mentor you and show you their best. And we all recognize and realize real life, sometimes that communications isn't smooth, but overall the desire is positive and they want you there. And so if something happens that's not smooth, we work through it. And that's definitely important piece. Yeah. I don't know if the other two, if you want to add anything to that, but.
I would just add that preceptors are truly part of that support system. When I was talking about you are each other's support system as well, our preceptors are too. And they provide references for our interns. They provide additional support. We hear anecdotal reports all the time of our interns emailing a question back to a preceptor they had 2 months ago, and they maintain those connections and those networks, and they really are gateways into employment also. So we see that happen all the time.
Okay, so I have another question here, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I think it's Aliana. And she's asking, do you find that applicants to the non-degree DI often already have completed their MS?
So historically, we have had a mix. So last year would be the first year that we had the MSDI track, and we do have some masters prepared in our DI only cohort. So
there's a handful every year.
Yeah, there's
not the majority.
Yeah.
But we see that with the 2024 coming,
yes,
that'll start shifting, obviously.
Yeah. So I anticipate having some, but we still definitely have interest among individuals that don't have their master's yet that are looking for that DI piece right now. Mm-hmm.
And actually, we love having the master's prepared students in the dietetic internship portion, because there's a little bit different level of experience, and they really add to that dynamic and can help be leaders for some of the other individuals who maybe have a little bit less experience.
So I just want to add real quick that we are at 2:02. So I've noticed a few people have had to get off, and if we haven't gotten to your question and you have to get off, this is recorded and it will be posted. Also, you can feel free to put your email address in the chat box if we haven't answered your question, and we can email you as well. Mm-hmm. But I think we as the team have time to keep going. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so the next question is from Carly. And she's asking, for the 5 weeks at the beginning before going to the intern location, where do interns stay? It's hard to get an apartment for such few weeks.
We see in the Bozeman area, we see a variety. We do have a housing list for all of our locations that we're trying to populate. It's been populated by past interns. And it's at least a start of some ideas. We've asked interns to let us know if they stayed someplace that they liked and give a recommendation too. Bozeman area, we see a lot of Airbnb utilized. We see share with other fellow interns. Airbnb, we are a region of the country where people come to vacation. So vacations homes is something I'm seeing a lot more of. We've over the years, we have a couple of faculty members over in the library sciences that seem to offer up their room often. So that's kind of what happens for those shorter terms. And we see a lot of share I mean, it's a good idea if you can. Mhm.
It always works out. We've never had a homeless intern.
No.
They've always found some sort of solution, and oftentimes it is a unique solution.
Yeah, we definitely have had some creativity. Let's see. One individual, a gentleman, he stayed in his camper trailer all throughout the year. Only thing with that is make sure wherever location you're assigned that they do have a campground that's open all year round, because not all campgrounds are open all year round. But that worked for him. Traveling home, he had his traveling home. He had his trailer. That worked. We had a lot of yeah. There's been camping in the Bozeman area, and then they have a partial. For the gym here on campus, and that was their shower. So I know that's what they were up to. They were out camping and enjoying themselves. So we do have a beautiful area. So lots of variety and some creativity in that too.
Okay, and then Allie is asking, is the culinary medicine coursework and experience included in both the MSDI and DI?
Yes. So the supervised practice experience where the culinary medicine program sits is exactly the same if you're in the MSDI or the DI only. The only difference is that the MSDI, you've taken that year of online coursework before you come into the DI. And so that DI experience is exactly the same no matter which way you come into that piece of our program.
Okay, and then Lauren is wondering, is there a resource which details all the rotation sites for each location? Are they consistent year to year, or do they change?
We do not have a resource. It's a mapping that I do every year. I start on it right after Christmas, actually. Starts for the creation of that. There's a lot of consistency. Our major locations stay the same, and dates can move around and change. There's always some adaptation. There are some new and some drop off a little bit in different, especially community. We see changes in that one, maybe if we see changes. That's an interesting question. I don't know how much sense it makes. We do have we can put up
on our website, Colleen, we do have that page that talks about places, and it gives you a general idea of the different rotations, for example, in Missoula or in Butte. And so
but
they may vary, and you won't have them all necessarily, but if you're curious in seeing what kind of rotations we offer, that's a good place to start. Give you a good idea.
Yeah, it's not the whole mapped out, but yeah.
Right, yeah.
That's right. Thanks, Anna.
Okay, so we have a question from Manuel, and he is asking, I have some questions about IHS during rotation sites. Are rotations possible during COVID? Are some city areas more focused on Native populations than others?
So yes, we do have relationships and rotations on the Blackfeet Reservation, which is up north for us, with Blackfeet Community Hospital. St. Ignatius is on the Flathead Reservation, and we have a clinic there. Now there are 8 official. There was 7, and the Little Shell people have been recognized finally. So we have 8 communities, reservation communities, and Native communities. But we have Native peoples throughout the state. So you will see Native peoples in your clinical rotations. For example, whether it's in Billings or Great Falls, Missoula, Butte, definitely. The places where currently we have those rotations would be the Blackfeet and the Flathead reservations. So, I'm waiting to see. We purposely put those rotations this year, at least with the Blackfeet community. That one, we put it towards the end of this year, so it's more in April. I'm hoping we have a vaccine, and I'm hoping we were not able to go in last year. And like, I know our Northern Cheyenne community was closed, the Blackfeet was closed. We did have a rotation in October that was open in St. Ignatius, which was Flathead. As the numbers rise in our state, I don't have a crystal ball on that one. I'm hoping that distribution of vaccine goes to those communities sooner. And so uncertain. I also believe and hope with all my might that if when you all start in August, that we are not working with the same restrictions of COVID. I hope we're back in more of a normal flow, even if it's altered somewhat. Yes, but as far as seeing the opportunity to interact and have experiences, we do have some in our Native communities, but we have a rich populations everywhere. So we like that. That's a good thing about Montana.
And Colleen did address the some of the tracks are the ones that go to those communities more than the others.
Right. So as far as tracks in usually Missoula, Kalispell are the ones with the Blackfeet. Missoula, Kalispell, and Great Falls are the ones with the Blackfeet and the Flathead communities. Working on maybe we're hoping for some new rotations, maybe in the Northern Cheyenne. So
We have two graduates. We have a graduate who works on the Fort Peck Reservation and a graduate who works, well, not yet. Well, she is from the Northern Cheyenne community.
And we've been working with the Fort Peck. There's some cool things happening there, and I'm hoping by this class we start to implement some of that. That's right. So,
and that's a good use of self-select time too, if you're truly interested in that. We definitely have the connections. We just maybe don't have the specific
formalized each time. Yeah. Good question. All good questions.
Okay, so Carly is asking, if I just do the internship first, can I apply to the master's later?
Go ahead and take that one, Kellen.
Yeah, maybe. So we hope that will continue to be an opportunity. So currently we do have some graduates of the DI only program that are part of our MSDI. So they're returning just to complete the master's coursework. So we do have a couple of slots available. We hope that we're able to continue that offer. It really also depends on space. So I can't guarantee a number of slots that will be available, but it's something that we hope to continue to offer. I will say that graduate coursework does time out or it expires. And so you would need to plan on returning relatively soon within 4 or 5 years to do the master's coursework. And I also say that things are always changing. We're always developing new things. There's always new graduate coursework being added in other programs. So, hopefully.
Okay, and then this looks like it's our last question, at least in the chat box. And Jackie is asking, is there a way to reach out to current MDI students or interns regarding their experience in the program? Also, what is your program doing to implement anti-racism work into your rotations and coursework and being more culturally competent working with diverse communities with non-Western diets? Thank you.
Yes, just if you would like to speak with a past intern or current one, give me an email, and I do have contacts that I can connect you with for sure. And as far as things that we're doing, well, I guess I'm going to draw upon our rich culture in Montana with Native communities. So definitely we have some, we hope to share that with you, share what we know, and different individuals that come through our program that are members of those communities. They've been active in sharing during those professional development weeks. We hope that we're looking at doing, when we do the cooking parts with Anna, and Anna, I'll let you address some of that too, that we're looking at different foods. And I like cuisines or cultures. I hate the word diet personally, but different diets, I guess. But yeah, all of that richness and being able to share that, that is something important to us. And we hope that we keep always cultivating that and learning more and sharing more.
And MSU as an institution has a really strong diversity focus and lots of support and programs and direction for us as a part of our department. And so we have conversations daily, really, about how to increase diversity and reduce some of those disparities in our program. And so we're really working behind the scenes to enrich that part of our program. And as Colleen mentioned, we do offer some sessions during our professional development where you do hear from our former graduates at that point who are from diverse backgrounds. And then we do, I think it was a half-day workshop this year on, it's escaping me at the moment.
For gender diversity, and we definitely, that's another piece that we're very strong with, we feel very passionate about.
Yeah, and so, yeah, learning all about the different things to consider in the LGBTQ communities as well.
To support you to become inclusive and competent professionals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Just seeing if any more questions popped up. It looks like we have a couple more. So this one was just kind of answered a little bit, but maybe if you want to expand, do you get a lot of diversity in interns, preceptors, or professors?
No, I think we have to, if we're going to speak about diversity too, I am proud that we get male applicants and we are happy to receive those applications. Of course, we're looking for quality applicants that are the fit for ours. So I think that's also part of diversity. Preceptors, yes, and not a lot too. I have to say both, because Montana, we typically do not have those big metro centers. Not typically, we don't. We are a rural state, and but we're a very individualist kind of mentality, I think, in Montana. So no, do you see a lot of diversity? No, not always. I'm born and raised in Montana, but I've lived in different countries and lived all over in the United States. So I have to say, you know, on your daily walks downtown, you will not see a lot of racial diversity. That's just part of our landscape and who we are. But we also, I think, generally speaking, respectful people. Our university is very respectful, and as Anna said, has a strong commitment, and we do have some, we're proud of that. We have some diversity on campus, yes. And we have diversity in our faculty, our current faculty, we have, yeah, diversity, yes.
And we're seeing diversity increase in our classes every year, and it varies. Last year was probably our most diverse class, and we were super proud of that. We always hope to have more. And actually, last class, interestingly enough, if we're talking about gender diversity, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics has the MIG groups, the member interest groups, and the DPG groups, if you're familiar with those. There was not one for LGBTQ community. And so our interns contacted, a group of our interns contacted the Academy to get that ball rolling. And so interns from our program, we're very, very proud of that, have started the process of getting I think it's going to be a DPG, is that right? Or
they're looking towards a MIG or DPG, but they provided a professional learning webinar, and our interns, the one who set up the speakers, was part of that.
Yeah.
And facilitated still are active in that. So yeah, the respectful piece, I think, is here. And then we are proud of that. And we're proud that our interns are respectful individuals as well. I saw someone ask something about how many applied. Is that true? I went and got my book so I could say. Last year was the first year we had the MSDI. So our total in the MSDI really was only 11, but we had we had 54 who applied to the DI last year. I think I anticipate this year to have somewhat more of a change in flip in that. Last year was, as I said, the first time we had the MSDI track.
I have a question kind of going off of that.
Sure.
My name is Nicole. I was wondering how many spots are typically filled up by pre-select applicants for the DI only track?
For the DI only track. So history will tell me where when we had 24, 26, 18, 20, those kind of numbers for DI only track, history would tell me about 50%.
Okay.
This year, I don't know for sure what will happen because we're moving into this new having 2 tracks and the new deadline coming for the MSDI or the MS deadline, you know, for CDR for that requirement.
Thank you.
Mhm.
It looks like Claire was following up with that, and she's asking, is that similar for the MSDI?
Last year, first year that we populated that group with more out of state, so less pre-select. We do have some pre-select. Probably, if I think about that, I could probably tally quick. Around half, maybe it's a little less than half though, less than half. We do have members of that cohort though that were our MDI graduates from the DI from the previous 2 years who came back and are doing the master's. So they're part of that cohort too. And Kellen, you might have better stats on that right off the top of your head.
Yeah, I think this first cohort, we had 4 pre-selects go into the MSDI program. But again, it was kind of an odd year just because we had both tracks. We did a full cohort for both tracks, whereas that's not the case for this upcoming year. So can't promise any numbers or availability. We don't, however, reserve a certain amount of slots for select. We really look for best fit for both cohorts. And like I said, we will update the website. So the pre-select deadline is a lot earlier, end of January. So we should have an update on the website for you.
And we use the same criteria. We use the same methods, same process to select, whether you're in pre-select or the national pool. We really use and apply the same measures. Any other, Tracy?
Yes, so another follow-up question. Has it ever happened that pre-select filled all of the spots?
No, it hasn't.
And we also have kind of a heads up of the pre-select are mostly DPD senior students in our undergrad program. So we have a heads up of roughly how many are interested, and they won't fill all the slots.
I think that's all the questions. A lot of people saying thank you. So thank you all for joining us.
Yes, we're so glad that you're able to come and be, I'm thinking this is working well, the virtual. So this part, I also enjoy always the plaster view of all your faces. So thank you for keeping your cameras on. That's nice too. So, all right. And like I said, any questions along the way, don't hesitate, reach out to us. Our contacts are on our website and we're happy to try to answer any further questions you might have. Otherwise, happy holidays, good luck. I know this is always a little stressful where you're at, but you're doing the right thing. You're on the right track, so keep going. And we will hope to see some applications from you. So
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Hi,
you.
everybody. Nice to see you.
Great information.
You're welcome.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Thanks.